2, 1. Alright YouTube, what's going on here? It's Simon Inc. And today I'm bringing you just a class, subclass, and armor weapon loadout for new game speedruns. Well, for story mission only speedruns. But the builds don't change that often. But this is the loadout that I use for when I'm running the story mission runs. So in the description there will be a text file, like a Google Doc link, that'll bring you to the route that I've created for this run. The mission orders, my class loadouts, and like my builds and whatnot. This is just a video to go alongside that, so this video will be included in that route. If you don't want to watch the video, then you can just read through the notes, so it's easier to read through. I know some people learn better by reading, other people learn better by watching. So this first episode, like this is going to be just my class loadouts for my Titan and my Hunter, just my armor builds, my weapon loadouts, my sub tree builds, etc. And then after this I will be putting up another video which is going to be a breakdown of my route, so all the missions that are in my route in the way I do them, and I'll be talking you through each mission as to what you need to kill and what you need to do in certain areas and whatnot. So but like I said, that's all going to be written down in text form for those of you who don't want to watch the video. But I know some people learn better by visuals, so I thought I'd make this. So we'll get right into it. First of all, my build for this is going to be Sunbreaker. The things you need are Sunbreaker and Sunbreaker, but as long as you've got Explosive Prior. So if you've only got it leveled up to here, that's fine. So if you only got it leveled up to here, that's fine. So what you're going to be doing is you want to run Thermite Grenade. That's pretty much just for, it's the easiest grenade for air, like overtime damage. So for like the Dark Beyond, when you have to kill the 4 people to start. It's also good for knowing when bosses are no longer immune, such as Black Garden. So it's really handy for that. Increased control as always for Titan Skitting. Scorched Earth, which is really handy for creating sunspots and doing damage over time. Melting Point, obvious. Titan Codex 1. Explosive Prior, which I use Explosive Prior exclusively for the Dark Beyond. The Temple Doorway at Dark Beyond, it's really, really useful. So I usually that thing's group up. You'll like if you read the notes, you'll see better. But Explosive Prior is really useful. Titan Codex 5 for max recovery, and then I got Cauterize on. You can pick any of these 3. It's up to yourself. Shimmer and Flames is handy. It does exactly what it says in the tin. Cauterize is just what I like, and then Firekeeper is useful for like World's Grave. If you want to throw a hammer at if you throw a hammer at the wall beside you, or like at the wall underneath your feet, you can stand in it, and then it'll give you a chance to have your hammer last long enough to kill the first knight that spawns at the end. It's pretty much timing on World's Grave. If you know how many hammers you have per super, and you know like how long they last, then you can time it. Like I can pretty consistently kill that knight with my final hammer before it runs out. So it's just pretty much up to yourself what one of these 3 you want to run. But Melting Point is a must. Scorched Earth is extremely useful. I mean, you could use Force Master, but I don't really see the use of it. And then Explosive Prior just for the Dark Beyond. Whenever they do the whole we've woken the hive and you run to the temple door. Explosive Prior is how I kill all the adds in like 1 hammer. So I pop my super and it kills 90% of the adds. Then I throw 1 hammer to the right of the doorway for the 2 acolytes, and then that's it. So this is my build for like starting. So I've got my Imago loop. Pretty much any hand cannon with Firefly will do the job. So like Fatebringer, Imago, the Whale, stuff like that. Mine has True Sight, Spray and Play, Extended Mags, Oil Frame, Will of Light, and Firefly. I use Extended Mag on mine. You can use Oil Frame but I've got Reload Gauntlets, so for hand cannons. Then I have my Tread Upon Stars. This is for whenever we get to the later levels. So I have explosive rounds. Like explosive rounds and Firefly are pretty much all you need. Crowd Control, triple tap, really nice to have here, but if you don't have it, it doesn't matter. So that's pretty much it with these two. Your shotgun full auto is pretty much a must. You can use Found Verdict, the new Monarchy vendor role, which is on my Hunter, which I'll show you whenever I get to him. So if you don't have a full auto, you can go buy that one straight out of the box. It comes with a Hammer Forged, extended mag, and full auto. So really useful. I got this from Bounty. So this comes with linear, so mine says field choke, reinforced barrel for more range, a pendant magazine for extended mag, and then full auto. So it's really useful for like high burst damage DPS, like restoration and stuff. So that's what I use that for. And then obviously Gallahorn. My Gallahorn setup is soft launch, speed reload, tracking. So that's pretty much like, that's your weapon setup right here. This is all you'll need. A good scout rifle, a good hand cannon. It's up to yourself what prime you prefer. I know other people like to run like Hung Jury or the Cocculus from Gunsmith. I run Treads just because I love the feel. Like I prefer the feeling of Treads over Omolon. A Magaloop is year 3 Fatebringer, well year 2 Fatebringer, but yeah, it's the same archetype as Fatebringer, the exact same stats pretty much apart from impact. I think it's like 4 points less impact or something, I don't know. So yeah, that's it. My Ghost is 25-35 in like Discipline. It's Fallen. And then I have one here for Cabal. As far as armor is concerned, if you could get a helmet like this one that has the inverse shadow, or if you have the King's Fall Raid helmet, then you can, it has the perk Shine On. That's probably your best bet. Mine's just tier 12 because tier 12 after, so I run this one just because it's 100% roll. And tier 5, like you only really use your super, but tier 5's nice to have for your intellect. My gloves are the raid gloves. These aren't tier 12 because I'm missing 1 point of strength and I haven't re-rolled them. But these are pretty much only for this perk, the fallen enemies. I would run these gloves if you have them till you do the first heavy ammo synth in Dark Beyond, which is after you get to the temple when you scan the Guardian. You would pop a synth, and at that point I would change to a different set of gloves. Pretty much, like I would change to that glove. But these are really useful for just trying to get bonus heavy ammo because that makes ad clears a lot faster. So they have hand cannon reloader on them. Twilight Garrison is pretty much like any roll you want as long as you just make increased heavy ammo. This allows those increased heavy ammo combined with rocket boots will allow you to hold 7 Gallahorn rockets instead of 6. So they're really useful. So yeah, this is like an intellect discipline and intellect discipline. Like if you can get an intellect discipline, well, it depends on what your build. Like if you're building a tier 12 like me, if you could get a Memory of Yolder that removes the sprint cooldown here, that would be beneficial. Like that would be the best artifact you could get, I think, or Radagast for increased sword ammo, but Radagast isn't useful here because you don't use sword ammo. But yeah, I would say if you could get the Memory of Jolder that removes sprint cooldown, you want that for your artifact. This is just a tier 12, like this is like 120-something% artifact, so super useful. Right, so for the first half of the game, this is your build. When you get to Chamber of Night, you're going to switch to Striker and Treads Upon Stars. And because you're going to be killing Hive, it doesn't really matter what one you do. So like my build, like my actually changes from this to this, which still gives me tier 12, but these have increased scout rifle on them. And this has more super energy from non-guardian kills. So the only thing that's really changed is like this is discipline strength and this is discipline strength instead of intellect discipline twice. And then my gloves are intellect discipline instead of discipline strength. So this is really useful for Chamber of Night. The build you're going to be running is like Lightning Grenade. You need that for the door spawn and for statues in Stranger's Call. Increased control for Titan Skating. Shockwave is just more reliable than Aftermath. Discharge, these three are pretty much your choice. Titan Codex 1, maximum Titan Codex. Aftershocks allows your grenades to last longer. You need that. 5, maximum recovery, because you want minimum agility for skating. And then final 3 is up to yourself. Most people use shoulder charge. I don't like shoulder charge. Like, I don't like the animation or how long it takes to actually do it when I'm running, so I just run Juggernaut. You can run Unstoppable, but it's completely up to yourself what you run here. I just run this because you run through the majority of Chamber of Night, so having that little bit of an extra shield, it can help. But this is what you're going to be running for Chamber of Night and Stranger's Call. Once you're finished Stranger's Call, you're going to switch back to Sunbreaker. Scout Rifle is only because the door's going to open halfway through the level, and you're going to need to kill 2 knights and a couple of like thrall up top. Your hand cannon won't have the range to do that, so you're going to want to do this. If you have Hard Light and you know how to use it to shoot inside the black doors, Hard Light can be used here. Any rocket with pretty much cluster bombs will do the job if you have a Hard Light. If you don't have a Tread Upon Stars, a Hungaria Oculus, you can use Mida and just use a Warpath, or just use any rocket like this one, just has cluster bombs. The Titanium Orchid, which was the Iron Banner one, that came with cluster bombs. Stock version came with Javelin and cluster bombs. So if you don't have one, anyone that has like grenades or horseshoes, tracking cluster bombs, pretty much what you want to be using here. Only if you don't have, like, I would say just go and farm Falls to Arc if you need that, because it's the guaranteed drop. If you don't have the Proud Spire and Iron Banner is a mile away, then just buy the Mnemonic vendor rule, which is the Bad Council. It comes with Hammer Forge, Extended Mag, Full Auto, and if not, you can go farm Winter's Run and get a Stolen Will. The chances of that dropping final round Full Auto is pretty high, so you can get that. So that's pretty much it for this build. Once you finish and you switch back to this, you can change all your gear back to whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. Like, because then I switch to Cabal, because then the final missions are Cabal. So I'm pretty much just trying to get Glimmer at that point. So tier 12, it's not really useful. I have tier 12, so why not use it? And then like these are just to help me try and earn some extra Glimmer, because you're running, so why the fuck not? So that's it for this build. If you have the you need Destiny Item Manager if you don't have 2 of the same weapon. So, for example, this is my only Imago loop, and I need this for my Hunter. So, whenever I transfer characters here, I'm going to change character. You would do this, in the route you would do this, there's 2. You would run the Black Garden and I have the Gate Lord on your Hunter. So, make sure that your Hunter, before you start your run, is set up to straight go into it, because as soon as you spawn in, like as soon as you change character, you're going to set destination, you're going to go to Venus, and you're going to load up your mission. So your Hunter build is only going to be for Nighthawk. So like I could have a tier 12, I'm running a tier 11 right now. But like this is pretty much all you need. So when you're flying, you would transfer, like you would, that's the wrong Imago. You would bring your Imago loop, that's my PvE Imago. So you would bring your Imago loop over. This is the Bad Council that I was telling you about. That's the vendor rule. Comes with Accurized Ballistics, Extended Mag, Hammer Forged, and Full Auto. It's pretty decent. It's pretty good for if you don't have a full auto shotgun. It comes in handy. So you would use that if you don't have access to like a Found Verdict or whatever. This is a pretty out of the box speedrunnable shotgun, so you would use that. My Imago loop is the same one I showed you before. Galahorn is the same setup as before. Soft launch, speed reload, tracking. Ghost is discipline strength. Class item is intellect discipline. You can't see it, but it's intellect discipline. So your boots would have increased heavy rocket ammo. Doesn't really matter what else they have on them. Stats, whatever, don't matter. Rocket launcher is what you want, because that would give you 6 rockets. My chest piece is just shotgun armor. Shotgun and solar armor. My gloves are hand cannon reloader, and then your Nighthawk. More Guardian super, like Inverse Shadow is pretty much a perk. This is you can buy this exact Nighthawk from the kiosk, like the exotic kiosk. I didn't re-roll it, I didn't change it. This is the exact one you buy out of the box. It's only like a 92% roll, or like a 90% roll, so it's not tier, like it is tier 12 if the rest of your armor is perfect. So, but that's the one you buy like straight out of the box. So you can, if you're literally, you can go pick this up. This, and I mean, you can run a scout rifle if you prefer to run scout rifles. It really makes no difference. It's completely up to yourself. And then as far as your skill tree is, or your subclass is built, Trip Mine Grenade is used for Black Garden. Also used, it's used twice in Black Garden. Once for you plant it under the Hydra, kill a Hydra, get back on your Sparrow, drive to the end, and then it's also used for planting on the bottom of the statues. So whenever the statue explodes, the Trip Mine will explode, you Nighthawk or whatever. Triple Jump is used for whenever you're doing the Eye of the Gate Lord. If you can barrel roll successfully on your Sparrow, then you don't need triple jump, you can run better control. If you're not comfortable doing a barrel roll, you need to be able to clear a gap at the top to get to the part where you spawn the Gate Lord. Triple jump will help with that. You can boost off the edge, and as your Sparrow starts to fall, you can jump off your Sparrow and then triple jump to the other side. So that's why I use that, just in case something goes wrong. It's always good to have a backup, because you don't really run much. You use your Sparrow for most of the hunter missions. Golden Gun, Deadeye is a must. The only time you wouldn't use Deadeye is if you were using Gunfighter, but then before you were to do the boss, you would switch automatically to Deadeye. Throwing Knife is, I just have precision knives, or precision kills, cause my cooldown, reduces cooldown. It's pretty useful. Path Unknown. These are pretty much all up to yourself. This is just what I've always ran. Scavenger is really handy for charging your grenade. You can run Gunslinger's Trance. Keyhole is useless because it's a built-in perk on the Nighthawk. So you can run Gunslinger's Trance, which in combination with Chain of Woe is a really nice. It sort of negates the fact that my Imago has Spray and Play instead of Outlaw, because this is like Outlaw, pretty much. Where the Drifter. So pretty much the only things that are important here are Trip Mine, whatever jump you decide to use. So like Trip Mine, Triple Jump, Deadeye. Everything else is up to yourself. Just as long as you have Deadeye and Trip Mine Grenade unlocked on this subclass, you can pretty much do whatever else you want on yourself. So Deadeye will make your Nighthawk ridiculous. It can one-shot pretty much anything. For the final boss room, like I said, there's going to be a notes downstairs, like down below in the description, that have the route and everything for all the individual missions, which is all the ones that tell you when to synth, what route to take, how many enemies you need to kill per level, etc. But as long as you make sure that this is, like, you have all this on, so like my armor is just exactly that. Make sure you have all this on before you start your run, because you're going to be switching to this guy mid-run and then flying straight to your destination, and then when you land you're going to be popping a heavy synth. So make sure that whenever you switch to this guy, you can automatically just go to Venus and then load up the Gate Lord. You want to go there, and then as you're flying to that, you can transfer your Imago loop and whatnot to your character, or if you have a Fatebringer, like you can use a Fatebringer on one character and Imago on the other character, whatever the case may be. If you don't have any hand cannon, you can run Hung Jury, Calculus, Tread Upon Stars, pretty much any scout rifle that has like Burning Eye from Trials of Osiris. You can run that. That's a really good scout rifle. So it's up to yourself if you prefer running hand cannons. As long as your hand cannon has Firefly, then that's pretty much all you need. Hand cannon reload gauntlets are useful. You can have shotgun reload gauntlets. I know that Dukes prefer shotgun reload gauntlets, so I mean you can run that. But like I said, if you don't have a Vine Verdict or a Strongbow, like a good roll on a Strongbow or an Iron Banner shotgun, you can just run Bad Counsel. This is straight out of the box Fender Bad Counsel. You can run this and it'll do the job. This is what I ran whenever I started speedrunning before I had access to any of the other weapons. This was the one I just went and bought whenever I started running. So this is really useful. Gallahorn is pretty much self-explanatory. It's the only exotic you would use. So Nighthawk. So the 4 exotics you need, or no, the 3 exotics you need are Gallahorn, Nighthawk, Twilight Garrison. Hard Light, if you can use that. If you're running Restoration IL, Bad Juju is needed. But that's for an IL, that's not for this run. So, but I'll go into depth more about the ILs whenever I'm recording the video for the route. Like I said, in the description there will be a written up route on Google Doc. You can read through it. It'll tell you all you need to, like all the weapons you need, the perks you need, what builds you should be running, armor you should be running, etc. But until next time, thanks very much for watching, guys. I'm actually live when I'm recording this, so if you ever want to see me do runs, my Twitch will be in the description below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.